This episode has been brought to you by Manscaped. The new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GULCH20 for 20% off plus free shipping today. This week on the Heart of the Gulch YouTube show, we sit down with owner and operator of the Pontoon Saloon, Andrew Ostrowski. In today's Walk the Line episode, Andrew gives us an inside look on what it's like on a party barge on the Cumberland River. Let's check out the episode. We are in the Heart of the Gulch. My name is Tony Mendoza, your host, and today I'm excited. Not only am I excited because we're doing one of my favorite things in the world. We're talking about not only being on the water, we're talking about having an experience that's really hard to come by when you think about Nashville. When you think about Nashville, you're probably thinking about seeing the nice skyline from a Broadway bar. No. Have you ever seen a Nashville skyline while being on a pontoon boat? Well, today we're going to talk to the man in charge. We got Andrew Ostrowski in the building, and he is with the amazing Pontoon Saloon in the building. What's going on?
Tony, how are we? Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, I'm excited, man. It's finally getting to the weather that I thrive and sweat in at the same time.
Right? We're ready for it too.
Oh, man. I mean, tell me, we got to get to know you, Andrew. So, Andrew, you're originally from Illinois?
Correct.
Where at?
Champaign, Illinois, where the University of Illinois is.
Did you go there?
No, I didn't. I got out of Dodge, went to a small school up in the Quad Cities on the Mississippi called Augustana College.
Got it. Are you a fan of that area's sports?
I am an Illinois fan.
You're an Illinois
fan.
It's
hard to be an Illinois fan, but I am an Illinois fan, especially down here in SEC country. Not a lot of Big Ten support down here.
And not only that, it's just you guys are also, it's mainly a basketball school, right? Basketball's huge there.
Basketball's big. We've had our run, several years ago. It's been a while with football. Made it to the Rose Bowl, but it's been some time.
What was that transition like leaving that state to coming to Nashville? Oh, you traveled a few places actually.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of grew up all over, so traveling and moving for me wasn't, difficult. I lived in Texas, where you're from. I lived in California, a little bit time in Colorado, and then most of my time growing up in Illinois. And then moved down here. It was, it was a pretty easy transition, but also a little bit nervous, not, starting a new job, not really knowing anybody. My brother had just moved here as well, so that made it a little bit easier. But no, I was excited, and what I really was most excited about was just the opportunities. It's amazing what Nashville has to offer from an opportunity standpoint.
Is there anything from how long were you in Texas, living in Texas?
About 4 years.
Okay, so you got to be there long enough. What did you really like about that area?
Probably my favorite memory-wise of Texas was my mom won a go-kart at an oil change facility. So it was this like fiberglass wrapped like go-kart, but it looked like a NASCAR car. And so we were ripping that thing around the neighborhood because there was no other houses in this neighborhood. So we had the entire streets to ourselves, just cruising on this thing. So that was probably my favorite memory.
Nashville having a bunch of opportunities. So do you remember the year that you moved here?
2011, October.
Oh man, so you got to see Nashville really grow.
It's wild.
What's been one of the areas of Nashville that you've seen grow the most?
Oh man. So many of them.
So many
where we
locations.
are now, the Gulch, obviously, just where it was in 2011. Couple restaurants, couple apartment buildings. I mean, it's bachelorette capital down here, and food, everything, you name it. So this is impressive. The yards is pretty cool. But
yards is crazy.
What I'm probably most excited about is just what's going on along the river. That was kind of the big thing for us, was just bringing some visibility down there to that we actually have a river in this city. And you kind of touched on it earlier in your photos. It's like those photos of Nashville are always the city, the skylines, the bars. And a lot of them actually have the photo of the Cumberland River in it. But so many people have no idea that there's actually a river that runs right through our city center. So
that river is so powerful that goes through Nashville. It's not the same type of river as, have you been to Austin before?
It was a while ago.
Okay, so Austin has, I think it's just the Austin River that just goes by, Lady Lake or something like that. Lady Bird Lake or river, whatever. Anyway, so it's not as fast pace, because I believe the river that's next to us in the Cumberland, that's a pretty hefty river. That's a major river, right?
It is. It's a quick moving river too. It's controlled by 2 dams, and it gets really narrow and skinny in the downtown corridor. So all that water is accelerating through, especially after rainfall. And you know, I moved here right after that 2010 flood. So I don't know if have you heard
of
that?
it? Yeah, because I heard this was flooded. Actually, everything in the Gulch was actually flooded from it.
Yep. Wild.
Oh man. And so tell me how dangerous. I mean, the Cumberland River is one of those areas you were talking about it where not a lot of pictures are taken from the vantage point of being on a boat.
Yeah, there's not much of us out there. So we've got 2 boats. You've got the General Jackson, and then you got some kayaks and paddleboard companies that operate out there. But 90% of the time, the river is perfectly fine to be on. You know, through the summer months, you know, sometimes in May, June, July, August, September, October, you're perfectly fine. It's that like April and early May when we're getting those heavy rains, and that river's moving pretty good.
Oh, and not only that, when you drive across the bridges, and when you don't see it with the pedestrian bridge, but you see it on the bridge that's closer to the Top Golf, you see the levels. I believe on the near the bridges, they actually put the levels of where each one, you know, the height
markers.
And I've seen that thing go from, you know, low in the summertime to exactly what you're saying in the spring. That thing fills up.
It'll jump 10, 20 feet sometimes pretty quick. I mean, regularly it's going to swing about 10 to 12 feet each season at minimum.
How long have you been operating, you know, just a boat? How long have you been operating something like that?
So commercially, we started in 2017. That's when I started working on the commercial aspect of things. So we're U.S. Coast Guard inspected vessels, but I've been operating boats since I was in high school with friends, family. So we had, you know, pleasure boats, just getting out on the water. So I've been doing that since, you know, 2003 or 2005.
Man, well, it's different for me because I was landlocked.
Yeah.
So you guys got a lot more, you know, you were able to see a lot more stuff with water, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we had good access, especially in Illinois. There were several lakes nearby, but probably a lot of it where my love for rivers really started to grow was in college, going on the Mississippi River, because it's the mighty Mississippi, right? I mean, this thing's another animal, very, very different than the Cumberland. It's extremely wide, a little bit slower, but it's got its cool challenges. And the best part about the rivers, you got somewhere to go. You can take this all the way to the Gulf. You can go to the Mississippi. You can go to the Ohio River. So that's kind of why I like it. And
also, you also said that in Nashville, there's not that much, you know, there's not too many companies utilize the river for a visitor's perspective. It's very untapped. If I'm correct.
Oh, absolutely. It's a challenging river, and not just on the way the water flows and the challenges there with debris and the elevation changes, but also there's just a lack of infrastructure. There's no marinas downtown Nashville. So the nearest marina that's like a public marina to downtown is Rock Harbor, right over by you in the Nations. And by boat, it seems, or by car, it seems pretty close, but by boat, that's 16 miles to downtown Nashville.
Oh, that's a long ride.
It's a long haul. So we used to keep our boats there when we first started in 2017. We would do an hour-and-a-half trek to downtown, run our 5 cruises, and then turn around at night and come back, be home by like 11:30 each night.
Holy smokes, no way. And I mean, we got to talk about the locations that you got so far. I'll let you grab a drink of that. So we got right here in 2nd Victory Ave, right? That's one where you're keeping some boats, right?
Yeah, no, the port on 2nd Victory Avenue, that's just our home port. So we're picking up, dropping off passengers there. That's where we run probably 90% of our tours out of. Right in front of Nissan Stadium. You can walk over the bridge.
Easy to get to.
Broadway, easy to get to. It's an awesome location. There's only 380 feet of dock, or 420 feet of dock space there, so it's not huge. And so that's shared between the commercial aspect of things and then also the recreational aspect of things. So transient boaters that want to bring their boat from Rock Harbor or Old Hickory Lake can come down there. So there's not a lot of space. We're trying to work to get more.
We don't ever think about Nashville being a river city, and you kind of mentioned that before. Like, everybody thinks of Broadway. Everyone thinks of, you know, being on land, right? But the beautiful thing about it, like you said, it's kind of untapped. How busy is the Cumberland typically?
Well, I to that point, I always like to say Nashville's River City just doesn't know it yet. You go to Visit Music City's website, you know, tourism board with Butch and their whole crew, they do a tremendous job, but their main photos on there are usually that headline photo is the city with the skyline, the light up bridge, and then the river. So, you know, it is a river city. We just don't know it yet. Now, on the weekends, that river's, you know, pretty busy. It's pretty active. But again, the nice thing about it is it can be spread out, right? You can go out there, take your boat, rent a boat, do whatever, and go all the way to Ashland City. You can go up to Old Hickory Lake. Like, it's spread out. So it's not as condensed as if you're on a lake. You can see all of the traffic pretty much right there.
That makes a lot more sense because there are a lot of turns through the actual river. So you're and what's the farthest you ever taken the Cumberland?
I've gone, so that's one of my goals this year. So I've gone up to the lake before. So I've gone upriver, hit a couple of the bars and restaurants up on the lake, and then come back down through Nashville, then back to Rock Harbor. But as far as downriver, the farthest I've gone is Ashland City. So there's a little island out there just past Ashland City where they got volleyball courts set up. So you can go out there, play volleyball in about 2 feet of water. It's a blast.
Oh man. And you guys are just bringing a whole nother experience to Nashville.
We're trying. You know, that's kind of when I started this, there was so much going on Broadway, right? You know about the tractors and the buses and the pedal bikes. There's so much of that. And I'm out there on, you know, our boat, sitting there down on the river on Lower Broadway, and I'm like, where is everybody? Why is nobody out here? You know, you got the General Jackson that comes down there, turns around, and goes back to Opryland, but nobody can get on a boat at downtown Nashville. So that journey kind of started in 2014, 2015, working on what that landscape looks like, how to get access, what kind of vessel do I need, and you know, kind of where we are today, right, with 2 50-foot pontoon boats, and just trying to get people out there and make them aware. We do have a river. It's accessible. There's a lot to do out there, and it's frankly really, really pretty as well.
I mean, how challenging was it to start this business?
One, I work with a lot of really good people within Metro Nashville to get the contracts, but anytime you work with the government, it's definitely challenging, right? There's a lot of things you have to jump through to get contracts created, and especially when you're starting from scratch. And anytime there's businesses that are involved as well, you know, making sure they're doing everything fair and equitable as well. So it's definitely challenging. It took 2 years to get permits created, and even more kind of hoops to jump through even after that as well.
What is, you know, as we were talking about just the challenges of everything, I mean, what has been like one thing that you can look at today and been like, wow, I'm happy I did that ahead of time than doing it today, you know?
Oh, well, the biggest thing we did was we built our own marina where we store our boats. So we're out of Lock 1 Marine, which is just north of Topgolf. So we're now a mile from downtown Nashville where we store our boats. Dude, so
that's awesome.
So that's one of the biggest things. You know, I feel very blessed to be able to do that. It was an amazing project, worked with a lot of great people on it. And we're not even done yet, but we've got, you know, our own docks there. So we've got 100 feet of dock space. We've got our 2 boats. We've got all the things that we need: fuel, pump outs, parking.
Do not forget about the parking, because the parking is probably one of the coolest parts about it, because you're able to park there and then able to do your... Can you do excursions from there?
We do, yep. So anytime downtown is just too crazy, like CMA Fest or Grand Prix, we lose access. 4th of July, we lose access because of the fireworks. We run all of our cruises out of there. So that's the other kind of blessing about it, is we can pivot and still run all of our tours. We're not having to shut down. We're not losing any revenue. Our employees are happy because they're working. So yeah, that's the best part about it.
I mean, you just talked about some events. What are some of the experiences you've had, Andrew, living in this city? What are some like pinch me moments like, yo, I live here in Nashville, Tennessee?
Probably my favorite, one of my favorites, 2 of my favorites actually. So our opening year, 2017, Preds made the Stanley Cup. And so we had just opened up the business, so we were downtown, we were starting to run our tours, and the Stanley Cup's going on. And that street, Broadway, is wall-to-wall people. They've got the TV set up, and you know, I think everybody just bonded over the Preds that year, and I hope we can get back. But man, that was an absolute blast. I'll never forget being up on Acme's rooftop, celebrating everything and just having a blast with friends. That, and then I thought the draft, the NFL draft, was pretty special.
Man, that was before I moved here.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of those experiences where you saw it on TV and you saw all those people, all those visitors, and you're just like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that they just made downtown Broadway a live draft.
Wild.
Where were you? Were you there?
We went on the opening night. Yep.
Oh man, how busy was it down there?
It was pretty busy. It was a little bit rainy to start, so it wasn't crazy, but then it really packed in.
Well, as one thing that we were talking about a little bit off air is that it's a community here in Nashville. Every business seems to know a lot of other businesses here. I mean, like I said, we originally got connected through Batch Babes.
Yep.
So Mallory was the reason why we're talking today, because I was like, oh wow, Pontoon Saloon. I mean, what what better way to not only see Nashville, but also experience a fun adventure, just like being on that boat in that pontoon.
Yep.
But talk to me about these businesses. How have you been able to keep up with all these relationships?
Yeah, it's fun. I think that's the other cool part about Nashville. One, just the opportunity like we talked about. But then once you kind of get in and start to network and you meet all these creative people that are energetic and smart and create really cool businesses, one, you can learn a lot from them, but they're also helping each other so much. So that's been huge. So Mallory was great in partnering with them. She's done a tremendous job with her business and her growth. So we work with them. We also work with Paris at Extreme, and they actually do all of our shuttles for us as well. So we have shuttles that bring people to and from us. So we work with those guys and several other businesses in town. I'm actually going to a meeting right after this with another company. So yeah, it's just like, it's an amazing culture that we've kind of bred in Nashville. And I think that all starts with, some of the leaders in Nashville around like the NCVC and just the opportunities that is created here.
And I mean, all these businesses that we just talked about all kind of derive from tourism. And tourism in Nashville, when you moved to Nashville, was it always considered the bachelorette capital of the world?
It was getting there.
It was getting there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild what it's become for sure. It's changed a lot. I remember being able to go to Broadway and not wait in lines, get drinks pretty quick, not have to wait for long periods of time, and that's changed. And then also, you walk down Broadway right now, you're shoulder to shoulder with people, and it used to not be like that. So it's changed, but it's still pretty fun. We enjoy Nashville. And
then also getting to meet these creatives and partnering up with these businesses, because it, in a weird way, every business that we've been talking to here in the heart of the Gulch, they all kind of, intertwine. And it's all because of tourism, and it's all the people that are looking at you guys and finding these new experiences. What has been some of the ways that you've connected with visitors, or just has it been social media? Has social media been a big help in your business? Social media has been tremendous. And we were lucky too when we started. I think just having the brand that we have and the name that we have was really catchy. Solid name. It is a pretty good name. And so that helps. So we got a lot of really good news articles. We had a couple local news articles that were getting millions of views. And so that really helped a lot. So that recognition, social media has been huge as well. I wish I could say we were really good at TikTok, but we're still learning how to use TikTok. You know what it is? And here's something that I found interesting, Andrew, is that everyone that has started these businesses within the past, past 10 years, 15 years, they're not too much older than us. Yeah. And it's, but the funniest thing is that TikTok still hasn't been we haven't adapted to TikTok yet. None of us have, except for Batch Babes. Yeah. Batch Babes is killing it on TikTok. Business. Yeah, I know, because it's hard. It started with that. I feel like she just took off with TikTok. I'm like, hey, can you come do our TikTok? What has been the network that has helped you out the most? Honestly, I think our just referral network, so word of mouth, that's been our biggest thing. So reviews and word of mouth. I mean, that's been probably the biggest for us as far as our growth. Well, so we're going to take a quick little break here, but when we come back, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the events. I want to talk some about your funnest experiences doing what you're doing. And I also want to talk about the challenges, because it's not easy, let alone it's not easy just creating a business, starting a business, but there's challenges beyond that we may not know. Yep. Anything. So we'll be right back with Andrew in 1 second. Winter time is almost over. Spring is on the way. So fellas, it's time to pull out your junk and assess the damage. Trim those hedges, mow those lawns. And no, I'm not talking about grass. I'm talking about what's in between your Manscaped new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're going for a trim or that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Go to manscaped.com, use the code GULCH20 for 20% off plus free shipping. You're recording, and we're back. Andrew, all right, man, so look, we were talking a little bit off air, and I want to first say you have, 2 pontoons? Yes. And they carry about, 45 people each? 45 passengers each. They're 50 feet long, 14 feet wide. Oh, man, so you have to have some type of a crew to be able to handle, at sometimes, 90 people. So talk about a little bit of the team, man.
Man, the team's awesome. We're really fortunate. So some of the guys have been with us since day one as well. So they're still working here. They're still working with me, which is pretty awesome to say. So we got Captain Dirty Ernie. Captain Dirty Ernie's a legend.
It's the older fellow, right? That I saw on the website.
Yep.
He looks like a boss, man.
Oh, he's a boss. We even got Dirty Ernie t-shirts. Working on Dirty Ernie hats, and the ladies with the daddy issues love them.
Wait, let's keep going down the legend of Ernie. Okay, so...
Well, if you want an interview on here, you need to get Ernie. One, the interview might be longer than an hour, but it's a great interview. But Dirty Ernie is a legend in Tennessee. He's been like the #1 fisherman in the state for many years back in the day. He actually had his own TV show. It was like Man in the Wild or something like that. So he had his own fishing show and did charters and stuff like that. But he came and started working with me. 2017, he called me and he goes, "Hey, I want a captain on your boat." And I'm like, "Do you have any experience?" And he goes, "Yeah, I've got my 100-ton gross licensed U.S. Coast Guard captain. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm a salt guy, but I'm landlocked here because my wife's a chef." He goes, "Call me if you want me," and hangs up. And I call him back like a couple days later. I'm like, "You're hired."
God, Dirty Ernie. All right, well, shout out to you, Dirty Ernie.
Yep.
All right, let's keep talking about the team, man.
Dirty Ernie. We got Captain G, who's been with us since day one as well, starting in 2017. Absolute rock star. Great person, great human. Works extremely hard, and we're just really lucky to have him as well. And then a lot of our deckhands, who are, our experience is really like a guided party experience, right? We're doing a lot more than just putting music on. There's 45 people on there, so these guys are getting the music going. They're making sure people are engaged. So our #1 goal on that boat is to take 45 people that are in different groups and make them all be best friends by the end of that. And so that's our #1 goal, and that's what they do really well. So we've got Brendan and Heath, Chris Winkler, all those guys that have been with us since the early days have absolutely taken us to where we are now with a lot of reviews.
What are some of the attributes that you have to have being a part of the Pontoon Saloon?
Yeah, I think #1, just because it's a party boat, you got to be outgoing. But ultimately, you got to be responsible as well. So outgoing, good with people, and also knowing how to work with people with multiple ages. You'll find groups here that are like, or people are really good at working with bachelorettes, but our boat brings bachelorettes with divorce parties to, a couple on their date night, all out on the same boat. And so we're working with all those different people on our public cruises at the same time. And then on a Tuesday, we've got 4 or 5 corporate cruises going as well. So it's that different feel on each boat, and being able to work with all those different people is what makes them really, really good at their jobs.
And then also safety has to be a high priority, because it's different from running like with Paris, running an extreme party bus, right? Where back in the day, obviously when we were in Nashville, somebody must have just jumped off the wrong ship and obviously changed the party buses forever.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, what kind of, precautions are you guys taking on the, on the Pontoon Saloon to make sure that no incidents happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the beauty of what we are, right? We're a U.S. Coast Guard inspected vessel. So everything we do, from the way that boat is built to the railing height, to the size of the pontoons, to how many people are on there, to the life vest, all of that is built to U.S. Coast Guard specs. And then we also have annual inspections with the local Coast Guard as well. And all of our employees are drug tested, have to have specific training around AED, CPR, first aid. So we just got done with that with our crew. So all of those things are in place from day one. And everybody has to have those certificates and background checks and drug tests before they even step foot on that boat. So that just sets us apart from a lot of the other stuff, just having those rules and regulations already in place. And
then not only that, you guys it seems like y'all are constantly going, because it's a 7-day-a-week business, right? And I mean, we're going to talk about the busy season. I'm assuming the busy season is coming up in May-ish.
Yes.
And then how long does the busy season last?
Yeah, so we are 7 days a week. We run public cruises starting Wednesdays, running through Mondays, and then we run private cruises 7 days a week. And then busy season really starts to hit here in April. I mean, we'll be busy in May as well and the rest of the summer, but busy season, let's say right after Easter, it really starts to take off. And we're running, both boats are usually running 5 cruises a day starting Friday through Sunday. So
5 cruises a day. So how long is your typical excursion?
2-hour cruises starting at 9:30 a.m. with 45 bachelorettes on that first cruise every Friday and Saturday.
How daunting is it to have bachelorette parties and and we'll talk about the different groups because there's obviously different groups that you guys cater to, but bachelorette parties, divorce parties, bachelor parties, no, I don't think dogs. Have you had a dog party yet?
I haven't had a dog party yet, but that's a good idea. We've had
Doug the pug. Let us know.
Birthday parties, you name it.
I mean, how is it? That's high energy.
It is, but I think it's fun when you throw, maybe one bachelorette party on that afternoon cruise, one bachelor party, and then, a group celebrating their 50th birthday with 10 of their best friends, and then a couple couples. Honestly, it's actually pretty amazing what happens when you get those groups together and they're all there ready to have a good time. And the also nice thing is that boat's so big. If you don't want to necessarily engage with everyone, you've got your own table set up, you've got your own cooler set up, and you can kind of do your thing, enjoy the views, get your photos. So yeah, we can kind of make it what you want, but most of those people are coming to Nashville are coming there to have a good time.
Well, also the name suggests it, right? So Pontoon Saloon sounds like it's going to be a good time. It's not your everyday, pontoon that's going to go down the river.
Exactly.
And we love that. That's the whole point. Actually, I got a better sound for that. Let's see here. Ric Flair going. What's been the most interesting outfit you've ever seen on a Pontoon Saloon?
Probably my favorite one, though, they actually did a YouTube video of this. It was just a USA crowd, and they were there to celebrate America. And I think it was right around the 4th of July, that weekend before. And there was probably 30 of them. And from bandanas to shorts, everything just decked out in USA. And we started off that cruise with the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, it was pretty epic. And I was lucky enough too. They filmed that whole thing, and it's on YouTube if anyone wants to go.
Oh, man.
We had a great time with that one.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Does that make these, party barges more fun if you go into it thinking of a theme?
You don't have to. We have people that go up ready for dinner. They're dressed up. We have people, high heels, ready to roll, go to Broadway. So yeah, I mean, it's what you make of it, but we're there to make sure you have fun. Like, it's that guided party experience. So we know what music to play. We know how to engage the crowd where everybody is getting interacting and having fun together. And so, yeah, I think you can go on to it, celebrate an anniversary. You can be there for a bachelorette party, and that's what really makes it unique and what makes it fun. And it's 2 hours on the boat together. And we've had so many times where after that cruise is done, all 40 people are exchanging numbers like, hey, we're going to Acme, or we're going, Kid Rock's, wherever.
And that's probably the coolest part.
That's the greatest experience for, when our crew hears that, they know they did a good job.
You personally, Andrew, when's your favorite time to be out in the water? When is it? Is it sunset time?
Man, I will say it's definitely the sunset and then the mornings as well. When you're taking that boat downtown at 8:30 in the morning, the water's unbelievably smooth. There might be a little fog out there. Sun's coming up and shining off on the skyline. It's a peaceful, beautiful time to be out there. That's when the dog usually gets to come as well, when it's a little quieter, less people. And then the evening sunset. I mean, our sunset cruise, you just can't beat it. Like, that sun dropping behind the skyline, the photos that we get are incredible. So if you're looking for a good photo, that's the one to do for sure.
And which cruises typically sell the quickest? I'm guessing it has to be before 4th of July-ish, or any holiday, or holidays usually. When do you have to book in advance so you know that you're going to get for sure on the cruise?
Yeah, it kind of depends on your group size, right? So if you got a big group, you definitely recommend booking more than 60 days in advance. If you've got a group under 10 or under 8, you can probably book within about 30 days, 30 to 25 days-ish. But so we have 3 different cruise offerings. So we've got what's called our public cruises, which is kind of what I've been talking about. That's just where, you've got somebody celebrating a birthday, somebody celebrating an anniversary, bachelorette party, all come on there. They can bring whatever they want to drink. They've got the coolers, everything like that. Corporate. And then we also do, so corporate cruises, which is more of like our private cruises. So that's where they book out the whole boat. They get the boat to themselves. Those range from, 20 to 10 to 45 people. And then we do catering with them as well. So we work with Hattie B's, we work with Martin's Barbecue. They do a tremendous job. We get all that set up on the boat, have it ready to go, have their alcohol there ready to go as well. And those are awesome weekday cruises that we do a ton of, and they can even do live music as well. We work with some local artists that'll come on.
Well, it's because it seems like everything's kind of curated.
Yeah,
it's all basically like, hey, sign up your name. Is it BYOB?
Yep, you can BYO, or we can have it I have all the alcohol ready for you on the boat as well.
Or you can do that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's pretty much just like, hey, are you ready to have a good time and you want a different experience?
Yep.
You got to go to you.
Yep.
So everyone says that if you want to go broke, buy a boat. Now, is that true?
If you want to buy a boat to impress your friends, yes, you can go broke pretty quick. If you want to buy a boat to have 45 people on, that's a simple boat. These boats are pretty simple, right? They're big pontoons. It's a fiberglass deck with wood underneath it, and everything else is aluminum. So there's no fiberglass to polish. There's just less things to maintain on it. Now, not to say that we don't maintain things, because there's a lot of work in the winter when we're done with that season. So for example, one of our boats, you'll have to come out on a cruise soon. We have a guitar table on the front of it. So we just rebuilt that table all out of teak. And it's absolutely beautiful. And it's got our logo engraved in it, and found an awesome teak shop out in Lebanon. And they did a tremendous job creating a new table. So there's things like that we are having to maintain, but I think we do a pretty good job.
I think about just the challenges of operating a business. And like you're saying, you're not only operating a business with staff, with clients that are expecting a great time, you also are working with machinery. You're working with, how often do you know how the weather's going to be on the lake?
Yeah, the weather is just a mystery.
The river.
Yeah, the weather's a mystery around here. I do find that Nashville, a lot of the storms that we have kind of move in and out pretty quick, right? You'll get a big storm that'll hit, you'll get heavy winds and heavy rain for 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and then it kind of clears off and it's a beautiful day. So we've pretty much, everybody has become accustomed to that and does a really good job, one, managing expectations with customers about, hey, we're looking at the radar, we will let you know if things get worse and we need to cancel, or if this is going to extend. Otherwise, your cruise is going to be operating. We do run rain or shine. The only time we will cancel a cruise is when there's lightning and thunder. That's going to be happening during that cruise. So yeah, it's just something we deal with. We've been very fortunate there as well, because we can postpone things and really try to do our best to work with our customers.
What are some changes you would like to see going on with the river right now? There's some changes that you want, maybe a little bit more of an easier access or something like that the city could provide?
How much time you got?
Well, we got another 2 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's quite a few things, right? I think the biggest thing is, one, making sure the city is aware that we have a river. And that was our goal from the beginning, is making sure the people of Nashville, the people around Nashville, the people visiting, we have a river. There's so many people that come here and they're like, I had no idea Nashville even had a river, and I was just on Broadway for 3 days. So one, making that visible to the mayor's office as well, because there's a lot of opportunity at our riverfront, and it's been neglected for 40 years. The West Bank could use a refresh. The West Bank docks is a big project that we're working on, so we also manage the transient docks down there, and the West Bank docks hasn't been rebuilt in, I think it's been 5 or 6 years or more. There's another 400 feet of dock space for recreational boaters to be able to come down there, tie up their boat, walk to Broadway. So that not getting repaired is very frustrating. More access, better boat ramps, things like that as well. Amenities, having fuel down there would be huge. And one of the big challenges that most cities are having, and that Nashville's having, is just homeless camps. There's quite a few homeless camps along the river as well that the city is neglected to kind of,
I guess we don't see it as just everyday folk that just go in and out of the major city. And, we only touch, let's be honest here, Nashvillians and just people that are locals here, we touch the water once it starts getting hot, but we don't ever see it from that standpoint that you're seeing. I didn't realize that a lot of the homeless community is living near the water. Yeah,
there's quite a few out there. So, there's definitely some challenges there, and understand there's a lot more that goes into that, but just making them aware that there are a substantial amount of issues.
How can someone who's watching this today help with that cause? What could they do?
Yeah, I think it's just working with the local council, making them aware, seeing where they can help with them as well. There's some nonprofits that help with housing. So I think the big thing is just getting housing. So I know Salvation Army is one of the only local nonprofits that actually puts homeless people in houses. Mm-hmm. So I think they're one of the better ones to work with. That's probably the biggest ones, and then working with the council. So it's a challenge for sure. But there's a lot of good things coming on the river as well, like the development, right? So we've got Newhoff coming on over by Monday Night Brewery. Mm-hmm. So that's going to totally change the landscape, and they've done a tremendous job. Have you been over there?
Man, I've been to Monday Night Brewery, and it's just that area of Germantown-ish is changing completely. I wish that they would do something closer to the Nations, though, because you have that area in the Nations, and sorry guys, I haven't talked to y'all this whole time. I'll let you get a drink of that. So I'm telling you guys, we work in the heart of the Gulch. That's the name of the show. But I live in the Nations, and in the Nations, the river still goes through that part of Nashville. But it doesn't seem like they are really optimizing that area and what it could be.
Yeah.
You know?
So a couple things on that. One, Rock Harbor. If you haven't been, go to Rock Harbor. They've got Blue Moon Waterfront Grill there. They've got a new chef. Really excited. There's fully new owners at Rock Harbor as well. So we've actually got pontoon rentals there too. So if you want to drive your own boat, go rent a boat there for the whole day. Go to Ashland City, go to Riverview Restaurant, grab lunch. There's a lot to do on the river, and it's just continuing to make people aware of it. But there is access points. There's just not a lot of them. Rock Harbor is going to be your best one, and it's probably a mile from the Nations, if that. It's not very far. So that's huge. And then, Neuhoff and Oracle, they're all working on big projects as well. And I know they are very focused on and engaging and activating that waterway as well. So hopefully in 4 or 5 years, we actually have some more stuff out there.
Well, it's coming. What is going to come right now is you have some questions to answer. I got 2 people, 2 different questions. So we'll be right back. All right, Andrew?
Cool.
Hey, Pontoon Saloon, tell us a story about one of y'all's most challenging events that you've hosted.
I think we've learned early on when it comes to our events, really being prescriptive about what we want to do and what we not want to do, just knowing the challenges of being on the water. But a challenging event, but also a really fun event. Sometimes we'll do these brewery cruises. So we'll work with local breweries like Southern Grist and others to do brew cruises. So they'll come out, they'll bring their new release beers, and we'll have tickets sold, and then they'll distribute those like test tastings on the boat. So just kind of managing all the alcohol, managing the testers, and then multiple personnel back there as well, just helping kind of distribute that for those test tasters. So that can be challenging. It's also just a little bit of a different crowd as well, not our typical crowd. So our deckhands are like, what's going on? How do I manage this? And then we kind of figure our way out. So that's a challenging one, but I think initially just doing live music on there as well, figuring that out was also a little bit of a challenge as well.
What's been one of the most rewarding cruises you've ever done?
One of the most rewarding cruises, man, we've done some pretty interesting cruises. We've had funerals on our boat.
No way.
Funerals. We've done, I think probably our most, going back to actually your last one, probably our most challenging cruises are when they're completely sober cruises. So when there's no alcohol on the boat, and we've had that probably being one of them, was the funeral cruise. It was a little bit challenging and just totally different for our staff. So threw us out of our element. I'm trying to think what else we've done that's interesting. Brew cruises, we've done music videos on there. We're actually shooting a music video with Sadie Bass on the April 11th. So getting that set up where you've got like the video right and the audio. So those were challenges, but also really fun.
I mean, that's really challenging because you think about, and especially if it's a really production music video, not like a run and gun music video, the amount of equipment sometimes you even have to put in those places sounds kind of scary.
Yes.
And you said a second ago, sober cruises. I mean, I'm guessing that doesn't happen often.
No, well, actually, we kind of turned it into a thing. So we've actually got one of our previous employees, so he helped us with check-in. So his name's Mark. He runs the 12 South Farmers Market. He came up with this amazing concept called Sober Bar. And so now we actually do a monthly Sober Bar cruise. So for people that aren't drinking. So we have amazing like NA beers and NA cocktails on the boat. And it's just a different experience. But again, it's kind of promoting that you don't have to be drinking to have fun. Mm-hmm. And there's a ton of sober people that want to be able to go do something out and not feel pressured. And it's just a cool event that we do. It's a little bit different than our brew cruise. It's a sober bar cruise.
All right, so we're going to go on to the second question that I got on here. And I got a direct message from someone who had a question. So let's see what he's got to say.
How do you see Pontoon Saloon growing in the next 3 years with the ever-changing markets in Nashville?
It's a great question. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity, right? Kind of goes back to where we started. Tons of opportunity in Nashville, especially with all the development on the river going. And then you look at how congested Nashville is. The easy mode of transportation is this waterway. It's not very congested. So we want to bring things like river taxis and water taxis to these different key points around Nashville. So that's kind of how we look at our business growth, potentially bigger vessels in the future as well. A lot of logistics and things that go into that. But that's kind of where our HUD's at. And, we could easily, grow with a third boat going into the next season as well, just based on the demand that we're seeing in the city. So
And then my last two questions I always do before we go to your section of the show where we get to see behind the scenes in our Walk the Line segment. That's your day in the life. But I always end the same interviews with the same questions here. And the first question is, how do you deal with the people that doubted you in the beginning? What I call you can call them haters, you can call them doubters, whatever you want to call them. How have you been able, because all of us have it.
Oh, yeah.
How have you been able to stay above it, and how have you been able to continue? And what advice would you have to people that have the same kind of haters?
Yeah. Well, one, having the just dedication, persistence, and just constantly being able to have that drive to kind of solve whatever's in front of you that next day or that afternoon. So that's probably the biggest thing for me, is just having the persistence. Go back to my time in getting the contracts up the city. That right there was all persistence, and it took 2 years to do that. Mm-hmm. But it's just a lot of late nights and time to kind of figure that out. So persistence is key, and that would probably be my biggest advice, and just really not giving up. There's different avenues that things are going to be created out of there as well. If that first avenue doesn't work, that drive and persistence could lead to something completely else through networking and meeting people. So I think the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is just our staff. Our staff has grown. So watching some of our employees that we've worked with more recently, but kind of take that next step in their career and what they're passionate about. So that's pretty cool, and what I'm most looking forward to in this year, and some of the new people that we've hired. So that's really important. And then just more activity and engagement at Riverfront. Between, we do some Titans tailgates down there during Titans season, to the events going on at Riverfront. Music City Grand Prix does a great job putting jet skis out there and other kind of courses. There's a wakeboard event coming. So there's more events coming that are physically on the water. Triathlons, all sorts of different races. So that's probably what I'm most excited for, not just us at Pontoon Saloon, but just the general activation and engagement of this waterway right at downtown. Now we just got to get the rest of the city and the politicians behind that as well to really up level the city.
Well, then also hopefully TikTok's in there as well for 2023. That needs to be every business's trying to figure out the way to work TikTok, because it ain't easy.
It ain't.
I don't get it. But I guess that's everyone that's around our age group. Yeah. It's just we don't understand TikTok. The Instagram was hard enough, it seemed, right?
TikTok, Instagram, those are all challenging for sure, but we'll get there.
Okay, so now for the way that I end the show is you look directly into that camera right there. You say your name, your organization, and then you say, "This is how I walk the line." Walk the line is basically your day in the life. This is the behind the scenes. Okay. So just say your name, organization, and this is how I walk the line. All right. Right after I give you the applause right here. All right. Applause. Yep. In 3, 2.
Andrew Ostrowski. I'm with Pontoon Saloon, and this is how I walk the line.
Hey.